What's going on there, my wonderful aviators? RandomEd787 here. So, Asobo just recently had their new dev Q&A for February 2025, and we learned quite a bit about Flight Simulator 2024, about its future. Some of the stuff we kind of already know, but there's some new stuff that we didn't, so I figured in this video we go over a lot of that. So, let's jump right into it. So, the stream started off with Asobo reflecting on the launch of Flight Simulator 2024. As you know, the sim did not launch in a good state, but Asobo wanted to give us a little bit more insight onto that situation. So they said that they've still been reflecting on that and that they think about it all the time, and they've even had meetings with a lot of the people on their team, such as the infrastructure team, to make sure that this will never happen again and that the infrastructure is configured just right. And Jorg Newman even said that when they eventually make another flight simulator, they said the way they'll avoid this from ever happening again is by never shipping something again without a proper beta period spanning for about a year, which is good. But you know, they did do a beta period for quite a while with 2020, and it didn't really release that great. Not as bad as 2024, but I feel like the more complex these sims get, I think we might need longer beta periods, but still, it's good that they mentioned that. Jorg then went into detail talking about some of the accusations about the game not being tested and shared some interesting details. Now, granted, I'm not saying that this is still excusable for how the game was launched, but it is some interesting insight. So he sat down with the test leads and asked how many bugs they filed and fixed before launch. So they fixed 32,000 bugs and filed almost 50,000, which some were dupes or by design, according to Jorg Newman. And they had a total of 90 testers, but doing the math, when you subtract 50,000 from 32,000, that means the game potentially shipped with 18,000 bugs, but Jorg claims it is much smaller than that. And one of the reasons Asobo said that they actually felt confident about the launch is because when they did their tech alpha from October 11th to the 14th with 17,000 players, they got feedback that it was running smoothly and they felt confident about the launch. I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I believe this too much considering what I just mentioned about the bug testing. And also, like I said, I do believe that there might have been higher-ups pressuring Asobo to get this thing pushed out, regardless of the state it was in. Lastly, one cool little detail that Jorg shared is that there's actually been more people playing career mode than free flight, which I found to be pretty interesting, but I don't think I'm too surprised on it, considering how much I was personally surprised by how addicting career mode can actually be. Cool little detail. Now let's move on to some details regarding Sim Update 1. And as you guys know, I did a first impressions video of the beta going on for Sim Update 1, and so far I've been pretty impressed. But Asobo shared some more details on what we can expect from the update. Asobo was actually planning to release Sim Update 1 earlier, but they held off on it until it's ready. So they did mention that the rhythm of how their updates come out is probably going to take longer, but they're more focused on stability, which is what I love to hear. I do not want these updates rushed because if y'all remember from 2020, a lot of those sim updates, they broke a lot of aspects for the sim, and I do not want that happening for 2024, so I'm glad that that's the mindset that they have right now. Now let's go over some of the bugs that we can expect to be fixed with Sim Update 1, and let's start first with the overly sensitive mouse when using free look. This is something that I could say I definitely experience. You know, like whether you're using the right mouse or the middle mouse to look around, it just feels like the mouse acceleration just like goes up like crazy when you start moving, or you get to a specific point when you look around. And I even noticed it in the walk around mode too. Like, it's a little bit more sensitive than it used to be, so hopefully they're focused on fixing that too. That one's not as bad. That one I can deal with a little bit more, but the overly sensitive one in, you know, free look, whether that be in the external view or in the cockpit view, it was really bad. I mean, it still kind of is, and can, I feel like, really cause a lot of stuttering and performance issues, but that will be fixed with Sim Update 1. For those experiencing control axes problems, not responding. That will be something that's fixed for Sim Update 1. Same thing goes for night missions. They will be more available in Sim Update 1. And I'm going to be honest, I have not done one single night mission yet, except for the one to get your night certification. So I can't believe I didn't notice it until just recently. So I'm glad that we're going to get more night missions. This next bug seems to be more of a problem on the Xbox Series X, and it is under investigation, but you will see some changes in Sim Update 1, and that has to do with blurry ground textures. So apparently the problem is being caused because of the auto-resume feature on the Xbox Series X and the sim not actually restarting. So in case you don't know what the auto-resume feature is, it's basically you don't actually quit the game. It just kind of stays in the part where you're leaving off, so you can quickly resume your game and not have to restart it. And apparently not having the sim restart is apparently causing this problem, but this is something that they are looking into. And lastly, this is not a bug, but this is something new that's coming to the sim, and that's the famous flyer Cessna 185F. And this will release once Sim Update 1 comes out, and this is one of the apology planes that Asobo is planning to release, and they released a trailer for it, and yeah, I'm definitely going to be flying this because I love being my tail draggers, especially stuff like bush planes. I can't get enough of them. As for the release of Sim Update 1, it looks like it may be on schedule to release sometime this month, but that may not be a guarantee considering that Asobo is trying to be very careful with these updates and not break anything. So hopefully it releases polished. If they need to delay it, I implore Asobo to please delay it. We don't want a rushed update. We want our sim to be working pixel perfectly. So hopefully we'll be able to get Sim Update 1 soon, but only if it's ready. Now let's talk about some of the details for Sim Update 2. And one of those main focuses is going to be VR. And this will be more of a focus for Sim Update 2 rather than Sim Update 1. I think there might be some fixes for Sim Update 1, but most of the focus is going to be for Sim Update 2. So, two of the bugs that were mentioned that I noticed were the missing toolbar, mouse, and click spots no longer working after you return to the main menu. So those will be fixed for Sim Update 2. Wind and turbulence in career mode is partially fixed, but they also found a bug in the live weather where there's also too much shaking. They've even improved thermal updrafts, and those two things, the shaking and live weather with the turbulence and the thermal updrafts, will be in Sim Update 2. Just a quick side note from my end, when it comes to wind and turbulence in career mode, it's not usually bad during like the cruise and takeoff portions of the flight, but sometimes, or a decent amount of the time, when I'm on approach, oh boy, can it get bumpy. But I think it does depend on the location. Like, I remember I was like in a mountainous area of California where turbulence would kind of make sense, but I feel like it can still be dumbed down a little, especially when the difficulty rating is really not all that high a lot of the times. I didn't know how big this issue was until I actually started using this plane, and that's the PC-12 and its broken oxygen system. I can't even pass the main mission to unlock the turboprop VIP charter missions, or to unlock more of the planes, so I can have faster planes in the VIP charter missions. It fails every time because the oxygen system just ends up killing everybody on the plane, and it doesn't matter if I even turn the thing on. It just will not work, but this issue is being fixed for Sim Update 2. The PC-24 is also broken, but has been partially fixed and will be fully fixed for Sim Update 2. They also mentioned that they are making quality of life improvements to the configuration of control inputs, so I'm guessing that probably means that the new UI for how you set up your controls will be a lot more simplified, which I'm glad for. Even though I've gotten used to it, I still run into some problems from time to time, but nothing that breaks the game, just kind of little minor annoyances. For Charter VIP missions not showing, this was actually because it was only based on live events. They weren't in the game, but it was made to be a rare event. This will be fixed in Sim Update 2. Editing fuel amount in career mode is fixed, but they want to make sure that there's no side effects with it, so they're going to push it to Sim Update 2, which I'm glad that this is a fix that's coming, because When it comes to like airliner flights, the amount of fuel you have or don't have can make an insane difference based on how the aircraft performs, especially when it's landing. And when flying the 737 MAX with a full tank, I literally can't even land the thing. It's just so unstable, so I'm glad that this is being fixed. Autopilot wobbling is in progress for Sim Update 2, and they found that the cause for this is the process that simulates the flexibility of the fuselage, such as generating flutter and speed vibrations. And for those of us that use DLSS frame generation, DLSS 4 is being planned to run natively in Flight Simulator 2024 in Sim Update 2. As for the release for Sim Update 2, it looks like that Asobo will be shooting for the end of April, but that could be subject to change. Now let's move on to some of the other bugs and issues for Flight Simulator 2024. And starting off with a big one, Asobo has started optimizing assets at airports that have caused dramatically low frame rates. I myself have experienced this a lot, especially at airports like JFK, mainly the big ones. The frame rate and stuttering literally makes the game unplayable. But luckily, for like my own local airports or just small, municipal or regional airports, I guess, it runs fine. I don't have any problems with that. It's mostly the dense airports, so Asobo is working on that, and I'm glad to see it. Jorg Newman mentioned that Asobo has to be in sync with the development teams that own their own airplanes in the sim. I guess this was in response to people wondering why, hey, how come we're not getting an update to fix this plane right away here or this plane here? It's mainly because they have to consult with those devs first. They can't just go and fix it themselves, otherwise it could potentially cause huge conflicts. There may be some things they can fix, but like the core parts of the plane, I'm not exactly sure how it goes, but I understand what Jorg is saying here. It is a bit of a complicated situation, so it's understandable. Missing sounds for engine and cockpits. This is currently being looked at, and there's unfortunately currently no set date for when a fix will be released. I myself have had problems with this. Not so much engine sounds, just, like button and switch sounds. I know some planes are just kind of missing it. The only time I've seen an engine sound problem, I think, is with the AnyBuilds Airbuses. I forget how it happens. I think it has to do with going into external view or no. It has to do with going into walk-around mode after you get in the cockpit, and then the sounds just kind of disappear. It doesn't happen all the time, but it is something that I do notice. One question asked was if the team ever considered doing more smaller hotfix updates instead of large sim updates. Asobo brought up the fact that even if you have smaller hotfix updates, they still need to go through a lot of testing. It would only be viable for like 1 or 2 bugs that really caused a serious issue, but not for like hundreds of issues. Jorg brought up that they tried to push out a small hotfix quickly, but it ended up breaking all the Airbus avionics, which did happen to me. So they really want to take their time and test any update that they put out. And aircraft external lights barely being visible during daytime is currently under investigation. It's being caused by a variety of issues, from it being to a specific aircraft as well as a systematic issue. Asobo also gave a little tease, and I mean a little tease, when it comes to Sim Update 3. They said they would like to have it playable at the Sim Expo this year, which that would probably be around, I think, June or July, sometime in the summer. So I guess we got some kind of news in regards to that. We also finally have a supposed release date for the marketplace, and I say supposed because this could get pushed back. Jorg Newman stated that this is not a guarantee. They want to make sure it's working perfectly. But right now, we have a slated release date for February 18th for the marketplace, so we have that to look forward to, but there is that slight chance it could be pushed back. And lastly, let's talk about the Q&As. So, I'm not going to go over the questions that were asked, but I'm going to go over the actual answers to them. So, regarding the Reno, Roswell, and Red Bull Air Racing, there isn't any substantial updates on it other than that it's still being worked on. In regards to updating specific planes through a server-side update, since all the planes are streamed, Asobo mentioned it's not always that simple. Sometimes the base code of that plane needs to be changed, but they are confident that in the long run, once the majority of the game is fixed, they'll be able to do more server-side updates to a specific plane if there are any problems with it. This one is something that the flight sim community really wants, but unfortunately, we don't have any updates as to when we could see it, but it is being worked on, and that is being able to download scenery and aircraft natively instead of streaming it in 2024. So it is being worked on, but we don't have any official release info on it. This next one, I'm really glad this question was asked because I was wondering why it was missing when we saw, pre-launch video footage of it, and that was the ability to add your own voice in ATC. Well, unfortunately, it's something that's currently on the backlog as they ran into a bunch of problems before launch and it wasn't up to their satisfaction in terms of quality, so that's something we're probably going to begin in the far future. ATC will continue to be improved with planned fixes for Sim Update 2 and Sim Update 3, with issues being fixed such as ATC telling you to climb while you're on your descent, and other things such as NOTAMs, notices to air missions, are still being looked into. For the heavy cargo missions, unfortunately, we still don't have a firm release date, but it's planned to release as soon as it's ready, and it doesn't need to be part of a sim update. And apparently it's the Airbus Beluga that is being tested right now that's holding all this up. This next one is something that I've noticed and I've wondered why it's not in career mode, and that's Airbuses. Why can't we fly them? Well, they're currently being tested and are career compatible, but we don't have an official release date on when those could be released, but it is being worked on. Asobo was asked if they're looking to enhance their career mode, and obviously they are. They're very enthusiastic about doing that, but they've reiterated that the priority right now is bug fixes. There is an update planned in the future for you to be able to filter aircraft in career mode so you can fly a specific aircraft that you want to use instead of just having to filter through the missions just to find the plane that you want to fly. And lastly, for the famous flyers, we have the Cap 4 Palestina. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. That will release next month with World Update 1 Brazil. And this is, again, another one of those apology airplanes. And this is actually being made by INI Builds, which, second I see the name INI Builds on there, I'm automatically excited. They do nothing but make great products, so I'm very excited to see that. Alrighty, that's going to do it for this video. Quite a lot of stuff to get through, and I can understand how some people might be a little bit upset or frustrated with maybe the majority of the stuff that I talked about was stuff that's being looked into or under investigation, and believe me, I know there's a lot of that, but it does seem like that Asobo is really taking this whole thing seriously. But again, actions do speak louder than words, but I'll be honest, I like what I've seen with Sim Update 1's beta so far. I haven't been disappointed, but I understand it is going to take a little bit of patience. I really wish this game would have released in a polished state, but we're here now, and I have a feeling Asobo can redeem themselves here. I don't think this is a lost cause game, but we're just going to have to wait and see, and I just hope they continue to keep releasing polished updates. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Tell me, how's the sim working for you right now? If you're in the beta for Sim Update 1, let me know in those comments below, and let me know how it's going for you. And as always, guys, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more, and hit that like button. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, and happy flying.